Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fish Tank. Now today I thought it would be fun to revisit the final from our latest tournament. That was Knight's Duel number 24. This was Memfisto, a multi-time reigning champion against Silco, a relative newcomer in the tournament scenes. What I thought we'd do is have a look at the decks they played, talk about those a little bit and revisit the action. Now to remind you, the players do get some ban powers for the events, for the rounds, and they can ban a master and two specific cards that our opponent cannot play. So for this grand final, both players chose to ban Wrecked the Master, and Memfisto banned the Cage Prowler and the Zealots of the Burning Fist, both very meta cards. And Silco decided to ban Zeppelin Bombers, which are a very specific targeted ban towards Memfisto, since he does have a very strong Reckinator deck with the Zeppelin Bombers, and also Shield Captain Avea. So, let's have a look at what we saw from the deck building before we have a look at game one. So, here we see Memfisto deciding to open with Apep. Apep, of course, a very, very strong master at the moment. If you've been following my Minion Masters meta videos, you'll see a lot of familiar faces in the cards being used here and familiar masters. So, Apep against Diona. Memfisto's got a cheap cycle deck. He does have the Simulacrum in there. So the Simulacrum will copy one of his opponent's non-mythic minion cards. And he does have the ability to give it haste if he has enough tech. So he's got a couple of tech consumers in his deck. He's got the Simulacrum and the S.T.INT. So definitely watch out for that. And he does have a few other Outlander cards to generate the tech. Also has some DPS in the form of the Battle Monkey, the Battle Shi-Hou, of course, really good against Horde. And then we got some solid single target stroke AoE DPS in the Brothers of the Void that will alternate between being a Raged Assassin or a Raged Fire Imp. Now, have a look at Silco's deck. You can see Silco is playing an Empyrean deck. Empyrean seems to be quite familiar on the leaderboard recently. So we've got a number of Empyrean cards, enough. Remember, you need 7 Empyrean cards to trigger the Empyrean Army effect. So he does have those. What does he have in here that has an Empyrean Army effect? Well, he has the Squire Puff, that'll give more shields. He has the Lost Legionnaires, which will get shields. He has the Ardent Aegis, which will give a heal. We've got the Legionnaires. They don't have any additional ability. But of course, we've got Ardera, and we've got the Shield Captain of Light to be the real tank in the deck. So the idea here, of course, Ardera has her on-death effect, where she will rage everything near her, and if they are Empyrean, she will generate a divine shield for them. So we'll see if we can get some good action from Ardera. Ardera, of course, does have very good DPS herself. If you didn't know, 60 DPS, the same as a cleaver. Anyway, let's dive into the first game and revisit the action.
Let's fight. Come to me, minion.
Okay, it's the grand final. Okay, I didn't quite get to do what I needed to do, but I guess we're going in. Okay, Memfisto playing Apep, Silco Diona. Remember, these are both now timer-based masters, not cycle-based. So their perks are on a timer, not on a cycle. So you're not restricted to having specifically the cheapest of decks to get the most value out of them anymore. Right, Memfisto. See, like this deck here, this deck looks a lot heavier than an Apep deck that you would have played before the change. So we've got Diona plus Empyreans. This Battle Monkey's going to do a good job shutting this down, but that's a lot of face damage coming out. Remember, that's not the end of the world for Apep. He will have his shield at perk 2. That also is on a timer. Stopwatch Masters. Right. Ardera, she might get into aggro here. Oh, that's so close to getting aggro by the Battle Monkey. Probably wouldn't have killed her anyway. That's a big beam of doom. The brilliance there was that the Ardera died last, so she didn't buff anything. That was great for Memfisto. This trap's designed to stop the units taking the bridge. Very nicely done. The key to playing Diona is the trap usage. A lot of people really struggle with it, but if you watch the top players, how they play the traps, they get so much value out of them, just for 1 mana. Right, here we go. He doesn't really have a good way of shutting down this Battle Monkey, except trying to just purely DPS it. Oh, he can hold it away. So that actually worked out pretty well. Does he have anything to go with the Ardera? The idea with the Ardera is you support it with Empyrean units, and then when she dies, she buffs them all. But of course, she does do solid DPS on her own. There we see the shields. Silco is not infinite hate, though. You might hate him infinitely, but that does not mean he's infinite hate. Right, Rocket Scrat's going to get the top bridge. Dies to the Grenadier. Going for a heal here. Ruffles does not get it. Memfisto is slightly low on HP. Will have his shield available, though. Battle Monkey's great against all these clumped up units. What he wants to try to do is do a push with the Ardera and the Shieldguard of Light. He's split them this time. Interesting. I don't love that beam on the Shieldguard of Light. Maybe he didn't have anything else worth to deal with it, but it felt like that was not a good beam. I mean, look, he beamed it and it's still alive, and how much mana has he spent trying to kill it? Right, Silco's got to perk 3. That's going to be another trap to help him manage these attacks. Battle Monkey going ham there. He's had to push on the bridge. Screaming Scrat's going to pull too much. And the Screaming Scrat is quite a high skill card if you want to take bridges correctly. Great trap there, but he's going to get the heal from the Priestess just at the right time. The DPS that comes out from that Enraged Flame Imp is absolutely disgusting. He's got the Simulacrum, so he does have the Shieldguard in there as well. He's going face with the trap. Memfisto reacts quickly to it, but he does take some damage, and he is pretty low. So Silco's win condition is probably to try to force out the usage of that trap, of the shield, sorry. Oh, the Reboomer! I'm not sure where it came from, but my god, did it send stuff away with it. That Flame Imp's going to get huge value as well. This is turning into Memfisto's game at the moment. We saw the Battle Monkey do massive damage in an earlier match. Memfisto is getting this. It's making this close. He has a cannon to put on the pressure here. Make this very difficult to push into. He needs to watch out for those traps on his face. He is very low HP. There's one trap. It's not going to be on face, though. This is a scary looking push. There's another trap. He's going to kill the Ardera. Okay, that's good. I feel like he could have maybe kept that alive. Oh, the Jolo. Oh, the Jolo goes down. This is really bad. This could be too much. I think Memfisto loses right here. The Battle Monkey could keep things alive momentarily. The Battle Monkey's going ham, but it's going to be too much. Oh, that was from one side to the other. Okay, a close game there, but Silco taking the first game. It was pretty close. Perk 3, Apep looked like it was getting Memfisto back into the game, but ultimately looked like he'd taken too much early face damage. Really just didn't have enough health to survive the onslaught towards the end of the game, even though he was getting back in terms of XP. So really that was a case of Apep's win condition was to get to Mana Frenzy, whereas there was a more aggressive deck coming out from Silco, more chances to do face damage and to close the game out before Mana Frenzy, which ultimately is what happened. Okay, so let's have a look at game number 2. Just a reminder, this is a best of 5, and there are conquest rules, which means if you've won with a master, you can no longer play that master. So Diona is now off of the board for Silco since he has won with her. So let's have a look at the decks for game number 2. So Memfisto switching to Settsu. Again, we see the familiar faces in there. Things like the Elite Swarmer and the S.T.INT, Rocket Scrat, Howling Moon, very strong meta cards. So he does have, of course, a number of fairly cheap spells in there, which is something that Settsu will really trigger off perk 2 and specifically perk 3 with that reload and that piercing shot if the ability is there. Now we have the Lone Wolf as well. Wolves are very strong in the current meta, I would say. Very tanky, decent DPS. They do that DPS quickly so they can deal with Horde pretty well. And the Howling Moon, likely to see a nerf in the next patch, going up to 9 mana, I think. It's, I mean, 8 mana just for 2 werewolves doesn't seem the worst thing. And then, of course, any other reducing the health of opponents' minions down to half is nice as well. Right, Silco has opted to play Valorian. Now remember, Valorian fairly recently had his perk switched. So his perk 1 and his perk 2 were switched around. So his perk 1 is the Searing Light, the removal spell. And perk 2 is the Holy Light, the healing. So again, it's an Empyrean-based deck. We've got the Once Bitten in there to hopefully trigger some werewolves. I do love to see the Black Hole, always nice. And it looks like the Black Hole here is really to specifically defend those wolves, I think, because the difference between getting the wolves off from the Once Bitten, Twice Bitten, and not getting them is huge. So the Black Hole can help sort of try to guarantee that. And of course, whatever else is in there can potentially be Black Hole as well. Always nice to see. We've got Ardera in there, and the eagle-eyed of you may notice, now he is playing an Empyrean deck. There are a few cards in there that will get the Empyrean army buff, for example, the Squire Puff and the Lost Legionnaires, but he's only playing 6, if I counted correctly, not 7 Empyrean cards. And you need 7 to trigger Empyrean army. So is this a deck-based mistake? No, it's not. It is actually really smart because Valorian's perk 1 is an Empyrean card. So before perk 1, he's only got 6 Empyrean cards, but at perk 1, when Searing Light is added to his deck, that's the 7th card, and that triggers the Empyrean army buff on a few cards. So that's really nice deck building, good game knowledge there. Okay, so let's have a look at how game number 2 played out. More pinging, thanks for that, love it. Right, Settsu against Valorian. More Empyrean business from Silco. Wolves from Memfisto. The wolves not splitting could make them more difficult to deal with. Let's see what he's got to deal with here. He's going to get his own wolf out. He goes for the shock rock. Doesn't stop the wolf, but it does allow him to trade much better with it. Okay. So we saw in a previous match when Memfisto was playing Settsu, he was able to whittle his opponent down and then ultimately close the game out like that. Let's see if this works out like that at all. Rocket Scrat doesn't quite kill everything. Frustrating. Right, Ardera will shred everything. She does, of course, as we mentioned before, do that self-damage when she's attacking, but not too much compared to what it used to be. She is slowed, which, I mean, could be good, could be bad. It allows more stuff to catch up with her. This could, I mean, that slow could be counting for her, but of course, you want to kill the other stuff before her, so I think it works out okay for Memfisto. Taking some face damage here, Bat's being a pain, she dies, so this is going to be some reasonable amount of face damage. Right, he would love to shut some of these wolves down, but doesn't have a good way of doing it. His Howling Moon is going to trigger both of the wolves. He should win this fight with the Settsu support. That's just defender's advantage. But those wolves are almost dead. Ardera's just going to murder them. Flyby comes in. Does it kill her? Yes, it does. Okay, that's great, because it triggers the shield, and then the shield will be no longer here when they're due to be dealt with. Searing Light getting some good value. Silco has dropped down a little bit of HP, but Memfisto has taken more. But remember, Memfisto can just jump straight on face. Going to trigger the other wolf. The bottom wolf is going to struggle a little bit, I think. The support coming in. Okay. That warrior hitting hard. Keep getting distracted by the chat. Let's concentrate on the game. Perk 3 for Silco here. Took the first game. And he's looking to take the second game. Oh, the Rocket Scrat kills everything before it gets a chance to get buffed. Setsu's perk 3 is going to be strong, but he needs it as soon as he can, because he's kind of hemorrhaging XP at the moment. Just typical sort of Empyrean, just split, wait for your next split, split again. No Setsu perk 3 yet. Good stun. That Whelp is really helping out. Super DPS from that. Oh, that shield's annoying. That shield is really annoying. Kept everything alive, and that's just the power of the Squire puff there. He has got perk 3, has Memfisto, but he does need to catch up. And of course, perk 3 from Silco, the Searing Light, suddenly does twice the amount of damage it did previously. So that is a very strong removal. Didn't quite get the trade he wants at the bottom. Does Memfisto. And Silco's got enough HP to not be too worried about the push to jump straight on face. Okay, looks like it. Okay, unfortunately he wasn't able to shut any of the wolves down. Looked like maybe Settsu could do so with the stun, but didn't. But all the meanwhile, Silco's just getting bridge control in absolute droves right now. Over 40 XP ahead. Memfisto only has the face damage win condition available to him now. Trying to push it, but doesn't really get enough. We know Settsu can put out super DPS. But that wolf just getting absolutely shredded. Mana Frenzy for Silco now. It's now or never for Memfisto. Does he just jump face and just try? He doesn't have much HP left himself. No, he jumps defensively. Is that a mistake? I mean, how is he going to hold on against all this? And the Setsu's going to get removed, is she? Almost. Okay. Doesn't have a ton of spells, so he can't just cycle and stun lock for days. Jumping defensively, but I can't see how he can possibly hold on here. Especially the shield puff is going to start popping, and that's just going to make everything way more defensively powerful. Right, Silco takes the second game. Fairly straightforward Empyrean power. Okay, Silco taking the second game as well to take a 2-0 lead in this best of 5. It was pretty close. Perk 3 Settsu really started changing the game, but at that point Memfisto was just too far behind to really hold on and catch up. And Silco ultimately just getting the better of the werewolves. So let's move into game number 3 and see what we're going to see. Okay, so the decks for game number 3. So we've got Memfisto switching to Diona and Morelia for Silco. Remember, if Silco takes this one, he will be the champion. And it looks like he's decided to play a certain kind of deck that you might only decide to play if you're doing well and in the Ascendancy. So Diona, again, a fairly cheap Diona, but we've got some Slither tech in there. We've got the Impatient statue, which of course spawns with haste if spawned impatiently. And it does have the 3 Slither binds, which it can attach to another Slither card. Hopefully, it will attach it to the Gambler's Ball, which coincidentally also needs 3 Slithers to trigger it. And of course, if it is triggered, it will summon the spell twice. So you'll either get 2 heals, 2 fireballs, or 1 of each. So this is Memfisto's got a kind of an aggressive deck that sort of wants to keep pushing and do some chip damage over and over again and ultimately win in that sense. Now, dragons. Silco's going to have dragons. We see he's built his deck around Rimmergal. Remember, Rimmergal does need to be defrosted. You've got to spend 25 mana on minion cards that are adjacent or in the closest 2 deck hand slots to Rimmergal. And until that happens, your minions will spawn frozen. What else does he have? He has the Adventuring Party in there, which we don't see too often. The Woodsman, the Healer, and the Arcanist. We also see quite a lot of Crystal Elf tech, and he has Border Patrol, which of course can get the shields as an activation buff if there's only Crystal Elves under your control, which he has quite a few of, so that's something that he can definitely do. And we got a couple of puffs thrown in there just to help with the cycle. Okay, so let's go into game number 3. Can Memfisto start a fight back, or can Silco win his first major event? And definitely his first major event for some time. Let's find out. Okay, Diona against Morelia. We haven't seen too much Morelia today. She has copped a couple of bans. Rimmergal deck from Silco. Playing something a little bit off meta. Let's see if he can make this work. Remember, his minions are going to spawn frozen if they're next to, or the closest 2 deck slots, card slots, sorry. Right, statue pushing at the top. So Silco wants to get the defrost done as quickly as possible. Only the 2 closest. Oh, Gambler's Ball gets a fireball and a heal, but it doesn't really achieve too much. Right. I think we need to drop the conversation, guys. It's just going to get out of control. Let's enjoy this final, shall we? Right, that healer's going to be a pain. The freeze as well. Right, this is an impatient statue, so spawned impatiently, it will have haste. But no support right now. Silco's got a good XP lead. Rimmergal is out. Rimmergal is going to get a nice spirit on it. Okay, he spins it round, which means the statue's going to get on face. Thanks for the follow. Okay, that Rimmergal is still very, very tanky. Silco feels like he's in a good spot right now. Like, what does Memfisto have to deal with that? That's Rimmergal with a heal. That statue's not going to help the situation at all. This is looking like Silco's going to take the tournament here. Really does feel like Memfisto doesn't have any answers. The healer dying is going to be nice. The assassin's going to come in. Okay, so the assassin gets a huge hit. The statue didn't spawn, so that's good. Okay, so he's stabilized a bit, but unfortunately he is, Memfisto, a long way back on XP. And of course he's going to have to contend with not only Rimmergal, but Nivir, The second dragon is going to be available as well at perk 3. The reverse sweep is on, but it's going to be a lot to ask for here. That statue's going to get fairly shut down. Double Gambler's Ball helping out. The freeze, though. Perk 3 for Silco. He's going to probably have both dragons up at the same time. Like, there's no Curse Bearer for Memfisto. This is just looking very, very dangerous. Very, very dodgy. Oh, he's going to lose that Imp as well. He couldn't afford to lose that Flame Imp, and he did. That was the DPS that he needed to kill that dragon. Here comes dragon number 2. I don't think we've seen any Milo today. She didn't cop any bans. I don't think anyone played her. I would have liked to have seen the jump there, because I think he could have jumped behind the dragon. Jumped out of it with the Azog. There's the Spirit again. He's just Memfisto working through one dragon, but the next one is coming. The Assassin is going to be great DPS, but it's going to get pulled out of stealth, and it's going to get murdered pretty quickly. Here comes the double hill. I don't really think that he can do enough damage to face to close this out. It's close. He does get knocked back. The statue will get frozen, though. The trap's on face as well. Memfisto really giving this a good go at the moment. Okay. Can he kill this Nearveer quickly enough? The next dragon's coming. Silco's got this in the bag. Even if he doesn't kill him, which he's looking like he will do, he will win on Mana Frenzy. Silco's going to be the champion of today's events, guys. The dragon's just too much. No curse available. No DPS staying alive long enough. And there we go. Silco takes it by 3 games to 0. Double dragon. And there we have it. Silco with a clean sweep. 3 games to 0. He is the champion. Very well played to Silco. And of course to the runner-up, Memfisto. His double dragon strat in the end there, Silco, was just too strong for Memfisto. He was able to kind of DPS through those dragons quickly enough until the perk 3 Nearveer came out, and that extra dragon just on the field between those two Rimmergals really would just put on too much pressure. He started taking some face damage, did Memfisto, falling behind on XP. So really interesting to see Rimmergal. We don't see him too often, but to see him in a grand final, that was a good time. Had Memfisto been running a Curse Bearer or something like that, things could have been different, but that's just how sometimes these things roll. So again, very well played to Silco. I will put these decks in the description, so if you want to check them out, if you want to try them, please do so. Let me know how you get on. Let me know what you think of them. Now, just as a reminder, we do have another upcoming event on the 17th of June. It's pretty quick since the last one. But that's because the way Minion Masters patch schedules have changed. They used to be once a month. Now they're once every 5 weeks. So to fit around the schedule, because we don't want a tournament too close to or too closely following a new patch, because things are a little bit sometimes up in the air regarding the new cards and balances. So we have to spread them out. So what we're going to do with this one, we're going to have one on the 17th of June. So that's real soon. That's going to be before the next patch. We're still going to be on version 1.47. It's going to be open to everyone, as always, so players of all abilities are welcome. It's a great way for new players to start being part of the community, learning how to play under pressure, learning sort of how the better players play, and to really get some tournament experience. And of course, it'll be live on my Twitch channel, so if you want to come and watch, stroke participate, you are all welcome. And of course, I'll put a link in the description, and look forward to seeing you there. Prizes for all, $400 prize pool. And I think that's probably all that I want to discuss. Anyway, yeah, I'm the awkward waving, bad as a fish. I hurt my wrist doing some garden work. This hurts. Yes, garden work.